right, you guys, it's episode 84 of Inner Demons. And without further ado, I'm going to get straight to it. So I'm going to jump straight into this one, you guys. I told you I was going to try to get you out in Inner Demons tonight, and I'm coming through. I know some of you have been waiting for it. I pay attention to the comments, trust me. So anyways, let me get back to it. So I'm back in Second East. You guys know that for a brief time, I went up to the ob cell, went back to the third floor. They had me in an ob cell after I got into it with the COs after that little fiasco we had in Second East where we all got drunk. They boarded up, and you know, I needed to get out some frustrations, and it is what it is. So anyways, I told you guys, you know, Lencho basically went back to the fourth floor, and it was a huge disadvantage to me because, as I've told you guys on several occasions, to me, it was more of an advantage having Lencho on the tier with me because I could keep him right there and I knew what he was up to. But having him over on the fourth floor, I knew that he was going to start pushing that agenda, and that's what he started to do. He wasn't really being direct about it at that time because it wasn't like Lencho really had the status to make, you know, decisions about me himself. He could send word up to the Bay, and that's what he started to do. He started corresponding with Chuco at some point, and that's when, you know, things started to take a turn for the worse as far as with my situation. So just to give you you guys an idea of, you know, how much of an alliance I had down there in Second East. I told you guys Stretch, Manos, Looney, Jerry, Bones, and then Loco Tomas. Those guys right there were the ones that were really backing me. They were the ones that really wanted to see me, you know, get out of this situation, continue on, and, you know, they had my back. I'm going to give you guys an example of just how far, you know, one of them went to keep me confident, to keep my spirits up. You know, I'm sure he understood. Loco Tomas, I'm sure he was somebody that was well aware of the situation that I was in, that, you know, it was a tough situation, that it's easy for somebody that's, when your career is hanging in the balance like that, you know, it's a morale killer, you know, and when things are starting to look bad, it's just, sometimes when you see people in those types of situations, you need to reassure them. And that's, I believe that's what Loco Tomas was trying to do, because, you know, here I was, I'm looking at a life sentence. I just lost my wife. You know, I'm willing to give my life up for this organization. I'm willing to go spend the rest of my life in prison. But, you know, I'm not sure that these guys are committed to me because of the mistakes I made. I get it. You know, people keep bringing that up in the comments, like, you know, it was like the end of the world or something, that, you know, I made these statements to my girl, and that's all it was. But people keep saying, you know what you did was bad, B. I get that. I understand that. And I was willing to take whatever kind of consequences were in store for me. I came out of the you know, I came off of Little Max where they had me at. I went back on an active tier. I put myself back in a position where if that's what was going to happen, then that's what was going to happen. I was embracing it. You know, I didn't want to get whacked, but I was like, you know what? I'm not a coward. I'm going to go back, hit that, you know, that active tier, and I'm going to continue on with my career, what I committed myself to. I committed myself to the Nuestra Familia back in 1994. I knew what I was getting involved in, and I was willing to spend the rest of my life in prison. But I'm not going to lie to you guys. I wasn't sure that this was all going to work out once I got up to the Bay. I wasn't sure that people were going to still have that faith and that confidence in me. Why shouldn't they have, though? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I was honest and forthright about everything that I did. I had some conversations on the phone. Did I ever sit down with police like Pony did? No. I never sat down with nobody. It never went there. So, you know, why people were really trying to push, you know, against me as hard as they were, I couldn't understand that. People really wanted to see me fail. You know, I told you guys that Loco Tomas was in touch with Chuco. He had a line to Chuco and he was corresponding with him on a regular basis. That was the channel to the Bay. You know, at some point, Loco Tomas, he would get at me from time to time and he would tell me, hey, B, I know, you're in a tough situation. Keep your head up, brother. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be all right. You're a true believer, bro. You came back. The homies, they see where your mind and your heart's at, bro. But don't let nothing get in your mind. Don't let this dirt bag over there on the fourth floor. Don't let him, kill your morale, bro. You got to understand there's people here that are pushing for you. We want you on the team, bro. And it was good that there was homies that were reaching out to me like that. I've done the same thing, to other homeboys that were in situations like that. George Mendoza, Lucky from San Jose, is just one of the few. There's many that I can tell you guys about that were in similar situations, but Loco Tomas went above and beyond, to let me know and to assure me that everything, at least at that point, was on the up and up. I didn't know, what those letters were saying. I didn't know what Chuco was saying. I took their word for it. It was like, hey, Chuco sends his B and, it's all good, bro. So, one day we were throwing a spread. I want to say it was on a Sunday or something. It was on a Sunday. We were watching football and Loco Tomas was the one cooking that day. And when everything was done, he called for a phone change and he had everybody's box. He made a big spread and everybody had a box. He had them all lined up ready for the CO to hit the tier, do the phone change, and he was going to tell the CO, can you pass this over here to this cell, that one to that cell, this one to that cell. So when the CO came in, he did the phone change and then he started passing out these spreads. Everybody got blessed. I don't remember what it was. We used to cook down there and eat good. That's one thing that we did on that tier. So when I get my spread, I see that, I take my tray out and I want to say it was wet burritos that day for some reason. Anyways, whatever it was, I inhaled it. And then, at the bottom of the box, I seen that there was a one time and then there was an envelope. So I read the one time and it was from Loco Tomas. He's like, check this out, B. He's like, look, bro, I got a lot of love for you. You know what I mean? I know, I'm understanding the situation that you're in. And, bro, I just want you to know that there's a lot of us here that are pushing for you. And I'm gonna put my neck out on, I'm gonna go out on a limb for you. And I'm gonna prove to you that, we're on your side, bro. We're in your corner. We want to see things work out for you, man. He's like, this letter right here is from Chuco. And, if anybody knew that I was sharing this with you, I get in major trouble. I probably get whacked, you know what I'm saying? But I'm showing this to you because I understand the situation you're in. And with all the shit that's going on in the jail, with Lancho, pushing that agenda and just everything that you've been through in this county jail. And as long as you've been here, I want you to be 100% assured that everything is working out for you, at least right now, right? So I read the letter. It's from Chuco. And it was straight up. At that time, Chuco, had said that, everything was cool as far as B. It's good. I'm glad he's fighting his case. I'm glad everything, starting to look up with respects to him. Tell him I send my love to him. Tell him we send our regards up here. And, we hope things work out as far as his case. And, tell him keep his head up and everything's gonna be all right, right? So reading that, not gonna lie, it was like a breath of fresh air. I got it, Loco Tomas. I'm like, bro, I would never violate your confidence. I would never expose you for looking out for me. I'm not trying to burn the people that look out for me. I know you're sticking your neck out there, bro. I do the same for you, and I'm glad you let me check that out. It was something that I needed, bro. You know what I mean? Because the situation. This punk over there on the fourth floor is trying to throw shit in the game, and it's exhausting, bro. It's exhausting having to be able to try to concentrate on my case, trying to concentrate on what's going on in the jail, my family, personal shit. It was tough to juggle all those different things at the same time and to try to keep my morale up. But either way, it never got to the point where I was gonna check out. Even though there were times where I was like, man, everything's just fucked up. Everything's fucked up. You know, I got myself in this situation. I'm looking at life. My girl, she's dead. She passed away. My mom and them are sick. There's no telling how much longer they're gonna live. My grandmother's ailing. So I mean, there was a lot of shit going on. I felt like this case just continued to get worse. It was a nightmare. Seriously, my case, it turned into when we first came in, that indictment turned into it got crazier as time went on. There were so many Norteños coming in the jail that were involved in shit out there on the streets that I didn't even know, didn't have nothing to do with, but my name would be in their police reports. Somehow, some way, these cops thought that I was involved with every Norteño out there in San Jose, that I was responsible for everything that was going on out there, for the drive-bys, for some of the murders out there. They were trying to, they were somehow trying to connect all these dots, like these guys that were committing murders. You know what? Nothing happens in the county of Santa Clara without Boxer's approval, and this must have been authorized. And I was just like, man, this shit's just crazy. It's crazy. It just continued to get worse and worse. So, that's what Loco Tomas did. He took it upon himself to do that one time, and I appreciate it. And like I said, it helped give me a little boost of morale, because I needed it at that time. There was I had a lot of shit on my plate. Anyways, from that point on, these guys had just got indicted, and now their morale's all fucked up. Everybody on the tier, I mean, literally, the whole tier. Told you guys that they came in and it was ridiculous. Court call, they came in and damn near just went all the way down the line. They called every last one of them to court. But they did it to themselves. They did it to themselves. They were on these tiers trying to collect all this money from, at one point, for Dancing Bear. At another point, when Kramer was there, they were making phone calls for him, and they're just sitting back, just picking these guys off. They're like, okay, that's another case. There's another conspiracy right there. And the whole time, Lencho he's involved in a conspiracy to have drugs smuggled into the jail. And the whole time they're putting all this on the phone. They're talking in code, but the codes that they were using it was pathetic. It was like, they're trying to talk in code, but if I could understand them and I didn't know what the key was to their code, then anybody that was listening to those phone calls could understand them. They're trying to talk between the lines and be slick about it, but it was like, man, everybody knows what you're talking about. When I actually read some of the police reports, it was crazy. It was crazy to see how sloppy they were. And just, there was Looney and Manos, unfortunately for them, I know they were young cats. It doesn't make a difference. So they were young, they were both hermanos, but still they made so many misjudgments and indiscretions down there that they not only got themselves caught up, but they got a lot of the other homies caught up. The fact that Dancing Bear just, responded in the background when these guys are on the phone, they're talking to a female, she gets money from a third party out there. They know it's dope money, it's regiment money. Then you got Looney and Manos talking to her on the phone. Then they cover the receiver, yell down to Dancing Bear. She's got that fatty on. What do you want me to tell her to do? Well, send this over there, and send the rest here. Okay, well, where do you want her to send the rest of the other money to? Well, send it to me. Okay, she wants your name and number. Boom, they give Dancing Bear's last name, his first name, PFN number. So now They just confirmed right there that they're talking to Dancing Bear. Boom, he's indicted now. So these guys had nobody but themselves to blame. And meanwhile, I'm down there trying to tell them, you know, you guys are digging yourselves a bad hole. Why they didn't learn from us, I didn't understand it. But anyways, so, Lencho is still on the fourth floor playing his games. He's still trying to push the issue against me. Every time they would get a filter, Looney and Manos would tell me, B, this dude seems like he's starting to get more bolder, and he ended up stripping Stretch, clipped his wings, took his position from him, and it got to the point to where he started threatening these guys, where he took over, he took all their positions. Some of them, he stripped them their status as far as them being hermanos. He stripped them, made them Norteños, and a lot of it was because they were backing me. It got to the point to where I ended up telling these guys, I'm like, look, we're out there on the yard. I told them, I got myself caught up in some bullshit because of my own indiscretions. I made some mistakes that got me caught up. I put myself under a dark cloud of suspicion. But I'm not trying to cause no power struggle in this jail. I'm not trying to get nobody else caught up in my bullshit. If it comes to the point where you guys got to do what you got to do what you got to do. I'm not gonna lay down and let nobody put their hands on me. We're gonna fight. I'm gonna do what I gotta do to protect myself. But do what you guys gotta do. Don't allow my situation to get you guys caught up, because that's not what I want. I didn't want to see none of them get caught up. And that's what it was starting to look like, what was gonna happen. Later on, I would find out that you had, cellies that were in there arguing and fighting with each other, talking about, what, this is NF business. I'm not getting involved. They're trying to get us to do all their dirty work, and there was all kind of shit going on. So little did I know that these guys at this point had started to plot against me, and it wasn't like they wanted to do it, but they had to. Lencho, at some point, what he does is, let me explain this in simple terms so you guys can understand. So you guys understood, I made the phone calls when I was in the observation cell. During the first 3 weeks, I was in the county jail, okay? I made the phone calls. That's understood. It is what it is. Let's talk, now let's fast forward. We're talking about 4 or 5 years later now, or about three or 4 years later at that point. There's no paperwork. None of my co-defendants got any paperwork. There's no police reports. There's nothing. I haven't talked to nobody. That was never going to change. I had never sat down with law enforcement, never made any statements against nobody. I simply said what I said on the phone, and that was the extent of it. So when Dancing Bear screened my paperwork and he went through all, the transcripts and everything, the phone calls, he heard everything, seen everything, all that was relayed to Chuco. They did an investigation, and it was all related to Chuco. This is my findings right here. This is what happened. B said this, B said that, and that was the extent of it. They understood, clearly what it was. So what Lencho does is he's in touch with Chuco, and at some point he sends word to Chuco. He leads him to believe, and this was completely a false impression that he gave Chuco. He basically told Chuco that he knew that I was cooperating and that he was in possession of paperwork that substantiated it. The paperwork he was referring to were my phone calls that he now had transcribed. So he got the phone calls. I guess he had his lawyer get the phone calls, and he said, you know what, I need you to transcribe these phone calls and put them on paper for me, because they need to be mailed out. I want people to see these phone calls and read them for what they are. So however he did it, maybe he did it through his lawyer, his girl, his mom, I don't know, but he got them transcribed. So now he's in possession of my phone calls. he led Chuko to believe that he was in possession of some kind of paperwork that, he led Chuko to believe that it was like a police report or there were like some kind of statements or something like that. But what he was referring to were the phone calls. Now that he had them transcribed, that's the paperwork he's talking about. So it was clearly a false impression. Had he told Chuko, the paperwork I'm talking about is Boxer's phone calls that are now transcribed on paper, which I'm about to send you guys. That's what he told him. I'm going to send it up there so you guys could read it. If he would have told him that, who knows what would happen? Maybe, maybe things would have turned out bad anyway once I got to the Bay. Who knows? Maybe they wouldn't have. But if Lencho would have kept his nose out of that situation, I guarantee you things would have worked out different. Vicky passed away, and from that point when she passed, even though my mom was still out there, and I'm not going to say that, me and my mom were really close, straight up. I love my mom. She was like my road dog. We had more of a relationship. It was more of like a friendship. She was like the homegirl than a mother to me. And, I obviously would have loved to have gotten back out and to spend more time with her. But I was okay with spending the rest of my life in prison. I didn't think my mom was going to live that much longer. Once Vicky passed, I felt like, you know what, there's nothing that I need to worry about out there now. I'm not going to stress because she's gone. I'll take this life case. That's where my mind was at. So, it was at this point that I started to express that to my attorney. Look, there's just me and a beta left on this case now. There was 14 of us when they first indicted us, 14 or 15. Everybody's gone. The only two are left are me and a beta. He got caught up, over the phone calls, making phone calls when we were Little Mac, or not Little Max, in ADSEG, Area 51. He got caught up because he was trying to get the money off the street for me. And, it was unfortunate. Him and his cousin ended up getting caught up, but I was willing to plead out, to take the life case, forfeit trial. I didn't want to go to trial. I knew it was going to be a circus act. They were going to go in there and murder me in court. I had so much against me that it was a no-brainer. I was going to lose that case, hands down. But here I am. I'm like really making moves to put this into, in effect for it to come to fruition. I was taking steps to make it happen. I told my public defender, look, get in touch with the district attorney, tell him I'll give him a guilty plea in exchange for letting a beta go. Drop the 3 strikes case on him. He's been here for almost as long as me, 10 years. Give him his credit and let him go home. So that's where my mind was at this point in time when all this was going on. Meanwhile, these guys are getting beat up. Lencho keeps sending kites down there, and they're telling me, Lencho and Looney, every time he sends something down, they tap on my wall and they're like, hey, down low, B, and they let me read it, and he's on them. You guys, I don't know who the fuck you think you guys are, but all you motherfuckers are on freeze. And like, man, this dude, he stripped. I know he stripped Looney. He took his status as hermano. I want to say he did the same thing with Looney, and he had them all just feeling like they were about to get deemed. And it was all because of me. It was all because of me. So things just started to look fucked up. Loco Tomas ended up catching a chain out of there. He went to prison, and we lost that line to Chuco. So that was another big disadvantage. I couldn't reach out to him either because I was too hot. But anyways, this is what was going on at this point. All this stuff is going on, and even though I kind of see everything closing in on me again, I still I keep pushing forward. That's all I can do. I'm not about to let this, distract me or break my resolve. I continue to push. And, at the end of the day, I mean, you guys know what the end result was. You know, later on, I wouldn't find out about what he did until everything, it was already too late by then. I didn't know that he had led Truco to believe that he was in possession of something. Later on, it would catch up with him because he ended up where he is now because of what he did with his wife, how she got everybody caught up. And then what he did with me, a lot of the homies got at me in the jail and were telling me, he was like, you know what, B, you know, it's unfortunate that, it's unfortunate what happened to you over this dirt bag, but trust and believe, a lot of us are leaving this jail with intentions on wherever we're gonna land, we're gonna file reports on this dude and let it be known that, everything that happened with you, it was all bullshit. It was all false. It was all false impressions. This dude had an agenda, and we're gonna push a line against the dude. And they did. They did. Lencho is where he's at now because of it. This is a good, I know this is not a long one, but this is a good spot right here to end this one, because obviously what's going to happen in the next episode is the next walk of shame, where Chuco makes a brash decision acknowledging this dirtbag. So this is where, I don't know what kind of relationship Chuco had with Lencho. I believe they're both from the West Side, but this is where Chuco would make a brash decision, and he would go ahead and allow himself to be influenced by one individual. You had all these other guys that were down there with me, and he could have easily have gotten at any of them. Dancing Bear came back in the jail. He was at that point, now he's hot. He can't reach out to Chuco because now he's indicted. So things just got foul. Things got foul, and it just continued to get worse, man. It continued to get worse until another one like the other one would happen. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this one short here so that I can at least get you guys out something tonight. The next episode is basically when Lencho pushes that line, and I get green lighted again the second time. Although it was weak, the phone slayer and the channel changer with no tip. But I'm gonna go ahead and walk you guys through it on the next episode and tell you guys exactly how it went down, how these two guys that were in the cell that got put up to it didn't want to do it. One of them would end up in bad standings later, but neither one of them wanted to do it, and they were literally almost throwing blows in the cell, because they felt like this was NF business and they didn't want to get involved. And one of them I was kind of tight with, and he just didn't want to do it. But it came down to it was either me or them. And, like I told him, you guys got to make the right decision. If it comes down to it and that dude pushes that line, do what you got to do. Because if I was in that situation, I would have to push that line against you guys. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and cut this one short. Again, I know it's short, but at least I got something out to you guys. I'm going to have to come up with something. I mean, Inner Demons, we still got a ways to go, but sooner or later, you guys know that unless I get to the end of Inner Demons and just reflect, go back and, do a reset where I'm kind of reflecting on some other things that happened in the jail that I missed, eventually, you guys know this is going to come to an end. Inner Demons is going to come to an end. We're at 84 episodes. So I've made it last, for a while. I've drugged this story out for a while, but there still is a ways to go. So don't worry about it. My prediction is we're probably going to get somewhere close to maybe 100, 115 episodes, somewhere around then, before I finally reach an end point. So anyways, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and cut this short. I got 2 videos coming out to you guys tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed them. We'll get out some other Mexican Mafia videos over the weekend. I got Sandman here with me, so you guys might see me beat him up again tomorrow night. We'll see. You know what I mean? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy your Saturday night. If you guys are out there drinking and partying, man, if you're drinking, hand the keys to somebody else. Make it home. With that being said, this your boy B, and I'm out.